My favorite memory of Grandma will always be probably us, her singing "You're My Sunshine" to me in the middle of the night. I was probably 3 years old, and Grandpa knocked on the bedroom on the other side of the door and, the wall, and he said, "Woman, do you know what time it is? It's like 2:30 in the morning," and quiet down. And so then Grandma just real quietly sang, "You are my sunshine," and sang it real quietly. And Grandpa pounded on the door at the wall again, and he said, "I still hear you, woman. Go to sleep." And we just giggled and laughed about that, and that was both of ours, one of our favorite memories. And we sang it many, many, many times together, and always one of my favorite songs. And probably, towards the end, the best part of that was Grandma started forgetting who people were, and even forgetting who I was. And I look at her and, "Grandma, do you know who I am?" And she'd look at me kind of funny, and I could sing "You Are My Sunshine" to her, and she'd go, "Oh, Patty, that's you." And just melted my heart, every time she remembered, and we'd sang it together. So that's probably one of my favorite members. And just her advice to me, when I got worried about the world and how things were, and she just, made me so at ease all the time when we would talk about how things were. And she'd say, they've been saying it's the end of the world since I was a little girl. And think about it. She was 106 years old. And she said, I learned that you just can't worry about everything. You've just got to trust in the Lord about it. And that was probably the best advice she gave me. And I'll hold it in my heart forever.
Me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take that sunshine from me.
Oh, that's a tough one. There's so many. She's been a part of my life for as long as I can remember. I was about 3 or 4 years old when I met her. And even though I was so little at the time, I still remember this. Maybe that's because she got a kick out of reminding me about it every so often. uh, we had just moved to Latimer, and so I didn't know anyone there yet. And I had just gotten this little red Jeep for Christmas. And I snuck out of the house one morning barefoot with no pants on and decided that I was taking that Jeep for a ride. I saw this pretty dog limping up to the porch, and I pulled into the yard and just hopped on out. Bernice was in her garden, so I just danced on over to her and started telling her that I liked everything. I liked her dog, and her flowers, and her cat, and cookies. Most people would have been like, "Hey, where did you come from?" Or "Where are your parents?" Or "Go away, little kid," or at the very least, inquire as to the whereabouts of my pants. But no. She just sat her garden tools down, and I'll never forget it. She says, "Well, thank you. Her name is Sam, and I like that pretty red car you got there." And not one to be even partially ignored, I reminded her that I also liked her cat. She must have caught on to my quirky persistence, because without missing a beat, she says, "Oh, well, her name is Kitty. I've got some snickerdoodles in the kitchen if you'd like to have one." I remember telling her something like, "Don't you share cookies with your friends?" And she just says, "Well, yes, I suppose I do." And 3-year-old me said, "Friends sometimes have tea parties." I just remember her laughing and saying that that was a good idea. Right when we get to the front door, she turns and looks down and says, Well, normally I would tell you to take off your shoes, but it seems that you haven't got any. We went inside and sat at her kitchen table where she pulled out a little bag full of plastic teacups and a few decks of cards, and she says, "Do you play Go Fish?" And that was that, you know. We ate the snickerdoodles and played Go Fish and talked for what felt like hours. She always made me feel welcome, you know. I always had a place with her at her table. After that, I don't think more than a day went by that I didn't go visit her. She always had a teacup and a deck of cards waiting for me. As I got older, I'd help her in the garden, and we'd start going for walks together when she was feeling up to it, you know. She never made me feel like a burden, you know? Not even once.
Hello. They asked me to say a few words about Bernice. I just wanted to tell you what a wonderful woman she was, how much we'll miss her. You know, at 105 plus, almost 106, she still wanted to come outside and walk because she knew the importance of keeping her strength up, and she wanted to keep going.
Grandma, what did the doctor tell you about walking?
He said walking was good.
And told you not to stop, didn't he?
That's right.
What she always said, 105 plus, and wanted to do gardening.
I don't think that's a cucumber.
It is.
Huh?
One of the funnest things I remember about her is when I would tease Patty or give her a hard time, she'd get that little ornery smile on her face and just kind of laugh and say, "Oh, are you sure about that?" Or, "I don't know about that." But anyway, we love you, Bernice, and we'll miss you. Bye.
Mean about how things are done. Patty, my wife, you know how she is. She's kind of grumpy. So you got to do everything just right.
I'm not grumpy.
Well, I'm a little lightweight.
Are you? I've never heard you be grumpy in my life. I've never heard you be grumpy ever.
Well, I mean, particular.
Oh, well, particular is a little different. Patty's just flat out grumpy.
Ask her if she believes that.
You believe that? She's kind of mean.
Who?
Patty is.
No, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Another great thing about my grandma that she had a servant's heart. You know, you went to her house, it was always, you know, do you want a cookie? Do you want coffee? Tea? You know, she would serve you. And you know, the kids would always know there'd be like Rice Krispie bar treats in the counter, and she just always wanted to take care of people. And if it was the last, you know, piece of anything, the last piece of food, the last bite of food, she would never take it. She was the most selfless person I ever met in my life, and set such a good example with a servant heart.
Got a watch you can have burn your hand. Happy Easter. Wish you were here. Happy Father's Day.
Make me happy when skies are gray. You'll never know, dear, how much I love you. Please don't take my sunshine away. The other night, dear, as I was sleeping, I dreamed I held you in my arms.
We weren't blood, but she always made me feel like family. When it comes to family, I've always had, well, technical difficulties, so to speak. One long story after another, and before long, she was the only person I had left to talk to. I left home and went out into the world trying to find myself, and I didn't see her for many years. Even during that time, if I felt lost, I could just think about what she would say to me. And that was enough to get me through it. I watched Patty's story on Facebook for months, keeping tabs on her progress and proudly showing off each video to people. I wanted to visit her so bad, but I was scared because I know firsthand how the forgetfulness works. You know, they usually start regressing and forgetting people in reverse order until they don't know anyone but their mom and dad. I was just a little neighbor kid that showed up when she was already 88 or so. She was already having trouble remembering her family sometimes. And I wasn't very important in the grand scheme of things, you know, and she meant so much to me. The thought of her not knowing who I was just heartbreaking, so I was too afraid to go and see her. But then I got a message from Patty, and she said, if you want to see Grandma, I probably wouldn't wait too much longer. I said, do you think that she'll remember me? And she said, she does. And I just cried. When I went and saw her, Patty said, Grandma, you have company. I knelt down beside her and said, hey you, it's Corey. And I'll be darned if that woman didn't look at me and say, Corey, oh, I missed you. I've always said I wonder when I'm going to get to see her again.
You are Corey.
Yeah. You remember who I am?
Yeah.
I missed you.
Yeah. I did too. I always did. I wondered if I'd ever see you. You know, I don't get to describe just what went through my mind. That will make a difference.
I bet it will. How's that? Hey.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a difference.
Does it?
Yes,
Oh.
it does.
You know who I am, right? Yeah.
Well, I've always known.
This beautiful person was 106 years old. She was forgetting people like they always do. And she remembered me. And I think that's what I'm going to miss the most. She cared about me. And I knew she cared about me. That was a big deal, you know? This is my daughter, Haley.
Hi.
She looks exactly like
I know.
Oh, wow.
I know it's probably the grief talking, but I'm kind of alone now. That's kind of scary. She was my best friend. All I can do now is keep moving forward and just be grateful that I was given the chance to know her, you know?